The first place age often tries to steal your freedom is not your heart, not your lungs, not even your memory. It is your legs. It starts quietly, a staircase that feels steeper than it used to, a chair that suddenly asks for momentum, a curb that no longer feels casual, one missed step, one wobble, one moment where your legs do not answer your brain quickly enough, and the entire architecture of your confidence begins to change. Most people are told this is simply aging, that it is normal, that weakness, heaviness, slower walking, and less stability are just part of the deal after 60. But that is only half true. Aging changes muscle. Yes, it changes how the body uses protein, it changes hormone signaling, it changes recovery, but what almost nobody explains clearly enough is that your muscles are also changing in response to what you feed them, what you fail to feed them, and whether you give them the raw materials they still desperately need. And the consequences are not small. A major review found that sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and function, is strongly associated with falls and fractures in older adults. In prospective studies, people with sarcopenia were up to 89% more likely to fall than those without it. PMC, that is not cosmetic weakness, that is life-changing weakness. And I want to tell you something else. If you are in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, this is not a fringe problem. One review estimated that sarcopenia affects roughly 5 to 13% of adults aged 60 to 70, and the numbers rise sharply after 80. PMC, so if your legs feel less powerful than they used to, less responsive, less trustworthy, you are not imagining it, but you are also not powerless. Because there are foods that can help support stronger muscles, better muscle protein synthesis, better recovery, better circulation to working muscle, and a better chance of staying upright, steady, and independent. Not magic foods, not miracle foods, real foods, evidence-backed foods, the kind that work not because they are trendy, but because aging muscle still listens when you finally give it what it needs. I've ranked 7 of them for you, from deeply useful to potentially game-changing, and the number 1 food is the one most people still underestimate even after hearing all the protein advice in the world. It is not exotic, it is not expensive, but once you understand what it does inside aging muscle, you may never look at your meals the same way again. Before we get to number 7, tell me in the comments how old you are and whether your legs have felt weaker, heavier, shakier, or less dependable than they did even 3 years ago. I read those comments carefully because patterns matter. Now hold on to the rail for just a few more seconds because this list starts helping immediately. Number 7. Lentils and beans. The 7th food on this list is not here because it is flashy. It is here because it solves one of the oldest problems in aging nutrition. Older adults often do not eat enough total protein, and when they do, they often spread it too thinly or get too little of the essential amino acids that muscle repair depends on. Lentils and beans matter because they are practical. They are rich in protein, rich in fiber, rich in magnesium, and when they are paired intelligently with grains or other protein sources, they become far more powerful than most people give them credit for. Here is the physiology. After 60, your muscles become less sensitive to the protein signal. Researchers call this anabolic resistance. It means the same meal that used to maintain muscle in your 40s may no longer be enough in your 60s or 70s. Reviews now suggest that many older adults need protein intake closer to 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, especially when the goal is preserving muscle and function, not merely avoiding deficiency. PMC lentils and beans help you get there. They are not as immediately anabolic gram for gram as some animal proteins, that is important to say honestly, but research also shows that when plant proteins are consumed in adequate amounts and combined wisely, especially grains with beans, their amino acid profile becomes far more supportive of muscle maintenance. PMC, this is why I like lentils so much for people over 60. They are not merely healthy, they are efficient. A bowl of lentils with olive oil and a side of whole grains is not a side dish. It is a muscle support meal. And there is another reason they matter. Reviews of Mediterranean-style eating patterns consistently note that sarcopenic adults often have lower intakes of legumes, fish, eggs, and other nutrient-dense whole foods. In other words, the foods missing from weak diets are often the exact foods that support stronger aging muscle, PMC. If your legs feel depleted, lentils and beans are one of the simplest ways to begin rebuilding the daily protein foundation. What to do? Aim for a cup of lentils, beans, or chickpeas in at least one meal a day several times a week. If you eat mostly plant-based, do not eat them alone. Pair them with whole grains, yogurt, eggs, or fish on other meals so the entire day works together as a muscle strategy, not just a health intention. Number 6. Dark leafy greens. If weakness is one side of the problem, poor muscle efficiency is the other. Some legs are not only underfed, they are undersupplied. What do I mean by that? I mean blood flow, oxygen delivery, nutrient traffic, waste removal. Muscles do not strengthen in a vacuum. They need fuel to arrive and fatigue byproducts to leave, and dark leafy greens help that process more than most people realize. Spinach, arugula, Swiss chard, kale. These are not just vitamin foods. They are nitrate-rich foods. And dietary nitrate has become one of the most interesting areas of aging muscle research because the body can convert it into nitric oxide, a molecule that helps blood vessels relax and widen that matters enormously after 60. One study in older women found that higher dietary nitrate intake, mostly from vegetables, was associated with stronger grip strength and better physical function. Women in the highest nitrate intake group had lower odds of weak grip and slow timed up and go performance. This was observational, not proof of causation, but the direction of the evidence is compelling. PMC. Think of nitric oxide as traffic control for your legs. When it is working well, blood can move where it needs to go. Nutrients arrive, muscles respond faster, movement feels cleaner. When it is not, everything gets a little more sluggish. Greens also bring magnesium, folate, vitamin K, and a wide spectrum of antioxidants. No, I am not going to tell you spinach is a miracle cure for heavy legs. It is not, but it is exactly the kind of food that makes muscle tissue more supportable over time, and that phrase matters, over time. Because the sample script you gave me, and likely the channel identity you are building, understands something most health content misses. Muscles are not rebuilt in one dramatic meal. They are negotiated with, day after day. What to do? 1 to 2 cups of cooked or generously packed raw greens daily. If digestion is easier with cooked vegetables, cook them. If salads work for you, use them, drizzle olive oil over them, because some of the nutrients in greens are better absorbed when fat is present, and keep watching, because olive oil is coming later for a reason. Number 5. Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is one of the most underused muscle foods in older adults, and the reason is almost absurd. People think of it as a light snack, something small, something polite. What they do not realize is that it can be one of the cleanest ways to place a dense, high-quality protein dose into a meal without a huge appetite that matters. More than people think. Appetite often declines with age, chewing can become harder, large meals become less appealing, and yet the protein requirement for preserving muscle does not disappear. In many cases, it becomes more important. Reviews of dairy protein in older adults show that dairy protein supplementation can increase appendicular muscle mass, even though improvements in strength are less consistent. That is an important distinction. Dairy is not a shortcut to power on its own, but it can help provide the raw material that power requires. PMC. Greek yogurt works because it is concentrated. It gives you protein without much volume, and it fits easily into breakfast, lunch, or a post-walk meal. It is especially useful for people who simply do not feel like eating a large serving of meat or fish. And if you choose plain Greek yogurt rather than the sugar-loaded dessert versions, you avoid one of the biggest traps in aging nutrition: foods marketed as healthy that quietly increase inflammation and blood sugar volatility. There is also a second layer here. Yogurt is fermented. That means it can support the gut environment, and the gut matters because digestion and absorption are part of the muscle story. You do not benefit from the nutrients you fail to process well. What to do? A cup of plain Greek yogurt several times a week, ideally with berries, ground flax, or a small amount of nuts. If you tolerate dairy well, it is one of the easiest ways to upgrade the protein quality of your day without feeling like you are eating for muscle. And that is exactly why it works. The best foods are often the ones people can repeat. Number 4. Eggs have spent decades being misunderstood, and in older adults that misunderstanding has come at a real cost. Because eggs are not just convenient, they are one of the most digestible, complete, and muscle-supportive protein foods available. A major review on egg protein describes eggs as an exceptionally high-quality protein source and notes that egg protein supports skeletal muscle health and may help protect against sarcopenia. Eggs are highly digestible, rich in essential amino acids, and provide about 500 milligrams of leucine per egg, which matters because leucine is one of the key amino acids involved in stimulating muscle protein synthesis. PMC, let me translate that. Your muscles are not built simply because protein appears in the stomach. They are built because certain amino acids arrive in concentrations strong enough to flip the internal switch that says, repair this tissue, maintain this fiber, build this back stronger. Leucine is one of the loudest signals in that process, and eggs deliver it in a compact, affordable form. But here is where many people make the wrong move. They throw away the yolk. The evidence increasingly favors whole eggs, not just whites, when the goal is maximum nutritional value. The yolk carries additional micronutrients and bioactive compounds that appear to make the total package more beneficial than treating the white as the only part that counts. PMC after 60, that kind of nutrient density matters. You do not always get endless opportunities to meet your protein target. Every meal has to carry more weight. What to do? 2 to 3 whole eggs as part of breakfast or lunch, especially paired with greens or beans. Soft scramble, poached, boiled omelet, whatever you will actually keep eating. The point is not culinary perfection. The point is repeated anabolic signaling from real food. Number 3. Salmon. Now we move into the foods that do more than simply provide protein. They change how your muscles respond to that protein. Salmon, especially fatty salmon, earns its place because it gives aging muscle 3 things at once: high-quality protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D. Start with the omega-3s. A randomized trial in older adults found that omega-3 supplementation did not increase resting muscle protein synthesis by itself, but it significantly enhanced the muscle-building response to amino acids and insulin. In plain English, omega-3s made aging muscle more responsive when nutrition arrived. PMC, that is an enormous idea. Because one of the great frustrations of aging is that the body stops responding to good input as efficiently as it once did. You can eat decently and still feel weaker. You can increase protein and still not see the response you expected. Omega-3s appear to help reduce part of that resistance. Then there is vitamin D. The NIH is very clear that vitamin D is needed for the normal growth and development of muscle fibers, and that inadequate vitamin D levels can adversely affect muscle strength and lead to muscle weakness and pain. Older adults are also at increased risk of insufficiency because the skin produces less vitamin D with age and many spend less time outdoors. NIH odds. So salmon does something elegant. It feeds the muscle, it supports the muscle's response to feeding, and it helps cover a nutrient that older adults often lack. What to do? 2 servings of salmon a week is a strong starting point. If salmon is too expensive, other oily fish can still help. But salmon remains one of the cleanest total packages for older adults concerned about leg weakness, recovery, and stability. If your legs feel heavy, slow, or slow to recover after a walk, salmon is one of the foods most likely to begin changing the chemistry behind that feeling. Number 2, beets. This is the point where some people smile and some people get skeptical. Good. Skepticism is healthy. It means you are listening carefully. Beets are not on this list because they are fashionable. They are here because aging muscle is partly a circulation problem, partly an efficiency problem, and beets may help both. Beets are one of the richest food sources of dietary nitrate, and as I mentioned earlier with leafy greens, nitrate can be converted into nitric oxide, which helps widen blood vessels and improve blood flow. But beets deliver that system in a more concentrated, more targeted way. Researchers have become interested in beetroot and dietary nitrate because the effects seem especially relevant to older adults whose vascular responsiveness is no longer what it was at 35. If blood arrives faster, oxygen delivery improves. If oxygen delivery improves, muscles work more efficiently, and if muscles work more efficiently, walking, climbing, standing, and recovering all begin to feel different. Now, to be accurate, the evidence here is promising rather than absolute. Observational and emerging trial data suggest benefit, but not every study shows the same effect, and beetroot is not a replacement for exercise or adequate protein. Still, the physiological logic is strong, and the research direction has become impossible to ignore PMC, and that is why beets rank this high. Not because they are the strongest muscle-building food on the list, but because they improve a part of the system many people never think about: delivery. What good is protein if circulation is sluggish? What good is intent if the legs fatigue too fast? What good is a walk if the muscles never feel supported during the walk itself? Beets answer that with chemistry. What to do? Roasted beets, shredded beets in salad, or a small serving of beetroot with meals several times a week. If you enjoy beet juice, fine, but whole beets are usually easier to integrate long-term. Pair them with protein and you create a much more intelligent muscle support meal than most people realize. Number 1. Extra virgin olive oil. I told you the top food would not be the one most people expect. And here it is. Not because olive oil is a protein food, not because it replaces strength training, not because it builds muscle the way eggs or yogurt feed muscle. It ranks number 1 because it changes the environment muscle has to live in. Extra virgin olive oil sits at the center of dietary patterns consistently associated with healthier aging, and emerging research suggests it may have a real role in delaying or softening the biology of sarcopenia. Reviews point to its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, its phenolic compounds, and its potential to support anabolic signaling and mitochondrial health. But just as importantly, the authors are careful. The human evidence is promising, not final, and stronger trials are still needed. PMC that caution matters, but so does the pattern. Reviews of Mediterranean-style eating show generally positive associations with muscle mass and physical function in older adults, even if the evidence for direct prevention of sarcopenia remains incomplete. Olive oil is not the only reason, but it is one of the nutritional anchors of that entire pattern. PMC here is why I put it at number 1 anyway. Because age-related leg weakness is not only a protein shortage, it is also chronic low-grade inflammation, oxidative stress, slower recovery, declining cellular energy, and a body that has become less hospitable to strong muscle. Extra virgin olive oil appears to help calm that terrain. Think of it this way: eggs, yogurt, beans, salmon, greens, beets. They bring muscle-supportive materials and signals. Olive oil helps create the internal climate where those materials can be used better. And then it does something else. It makes the entire list work harder. Drizzle it over lentils and you improve flavor and repeatability. You sit with greens and you improve absorption of key nutrients. Pair it with eggs, fish, or vegetables, and suddenly the meal stops looking like a prescription and starts looking like food you might actually want tomorrow that matters more than any one nutrient. Diagram ever will, because the strongest muscle support diet is not the one with the most impressive theory. It is the one you can stay loyal to. What to do? Use extra virgin olive oil regularly as your primary finishing fat and one of your main cooking fats at sensible temperatures. Buy real extra virgin olive oil, not vague olive blends, and treat it like part of the architecture of your meals, not an occasional garnish. The part almost every video leaves out now I need to tell you. The truth that separates serious advice from internet fantasy. No food on this list works the way people want shortcuts to work. You do not eat eggs twice and regrow your legs. You do not drink beet juice for a week and recover 15 years of muscle. You do not pour olive oil on dinner and undo 6 years of inactivity. The research is clear on the bigger message. Resistance exercise remains the single strongest anabolic stimulus for preserving and building muscle with age, and nutrition works best in combination with movement. Reviews on sarcopenia prevention consistently emphasize that protein and exercise together are more effective than either one alone. PMC, that is the sentence I do not want you to forget. Food is not a replacement for using your legs. Food is what makes using your legs count more. Even a daily walk, even sit-to stands from a chair, even step-ups on the bottom stair. Muscles respond to demand, and they respond far better when the meals behind that demand are finally strong enough to support the response. Your action plan if your legs feel weaker after 60. Here is the simple version. Number 1, stop eating. Like muscle is optional. Number 2, make protein a deliberate part of every day, not an accidental part of dinner. Number 3, combine muscle-feeding foods with muscle-using activity. The 7 foods again: lentils and beans for practical daily protein foundation. Dark leafy greens for nitrate-rich circulation support. Greek yogurt for dense, high-quality dairy protein. Eggs for digestible protein and leucine-rich anabolic signaling. Salmon for protein, omega-3s, and vitamin D support. Beets for nitric oxide-related blood flow support. Extra virgin olive oil for the anti-inflammatory foundation that helps the whole system work better. If I were building a single day around this list, it would look like this: eggs and greens in the morning, Greek yogurt as a protein-rich snack or lunch addition, salmon or lentils later in the day, beets or leafy greens worked into dinner, and extra virgin olive oil tying all of it together. No powders required, no gimmicks required, just a smarter relationship with food. Final message: weak legs after 60 are not always a sign that your best years of movement are behind you. Very often they are a sign that the muscle you still have is underfed, underchallenged, and undersupported. Your legs are listening to every meal. They are listening to every walk you do or avoid. They are listening to every year you tell yourself this is just age. And the beautiful thing is that muscle, even aging muscle, is still responsive. Not infinitely, not magically, but meaningfully, enough to change stairs, enough to change balance, enough to change confidence. Enough, in many cases, to change the entire emotional tone of your day. So start with one food, then another, then another. Build the pattern, protect the legs that carry your life. And in the comments, tell me which of these 7 foods you are adding first: eggs, salmon, Greek yogurt, beets, olive oil. Tell me where your legs have been struggling most too: stairs, standing up, walking, balance. I read every one because the real tragedy of age-related weakness is not that it happens. It is that so many people are never told how much of it can still be answered. Feed the muscle, use the muscle, and give your legs a reason to stay with you.